Welcome to 45 on the Hour podcast. I'm your host, Colt 45, and I'm here with Professor Eric Medina.
What up? Good morning. Good morning.
Jiu-Jitsu black belt.
How are you, sir?
Ninja. What's up, bro?
Ninja extraordinaire.
How you doing, bro?
Good. Black belt fisherman now, too.
I know, dude. I just saw you went on a freaking fishing trip with Hoist Gracie.
It was awesome.
Dude,
Caught a bunch of tuna.
you're like a movie star or something.
It is hard, but I make time for, my people.
Dude, it's freaking awesome. What
for
you
my,
on?
For my homeless veterans, like the three of us right here.
You were on a fishing trip with Hoist.
Hoist,
David Dunn,
Kevin Crane, bunch of it was a black belt fishing trip. It was awesome,
man.
dude. 3 nights.
And I remember
San Diego.
asking you if you guys rolled on the boat.
We brought our geese, but it was too.
I saw that.
Yeah, but he did talk to us a lot. Talk to us as a group. Talk to me one-on-one, and it was like a nice, like mentorship as well.
Okay.
That guy's the real one. That's UFC 1 champion. Put jiu-jitsu on the main stage of the world. And he was like a real legend. Right away he began, like, we're just asking him questions. He's like, well, what do you consider training? And he kind of like asked the group, and he's like, for me, like, my training starts as soon as I open my eyes. And it includes like the food that goes into my body and what I put into my mind. And it doesn't stop until I close my eyes. And we're like, oh,
dude, that's so powerful.
Yeah, that's how he was the whole time. It was dope. It was a great experience, man.
Dude, I want to get more into this, but we got a guest here.
Mm-hmm.
And this guest is a really good friend of mine. We've come a long way. I actually look up to this guy a lot. Former Marine vet. He does jiu-jitsu as well. We actually had a podcast years ago together, which is kind of how we got into this thing. And we actually interviewed Patrick Bet David at one time. Totally good guy. Has a huge weight loss journey he just overcame over a year. Whenever I need information about, podcasts, Marine Corps stuff, even real estate questions, anything, I just come to this guy for just about everything. His name's JP Peña.
What is up?
What's up,
Colt?
What's up, bro?
Hey, man, excited to see you finally took off on this, man. I know it's something that you've been talking about and trying to implement. And, dude, I applaud your success and heard a lot of your episodes, you and Eric. You guys doing an amazing job and just sharing knowledge and putting out good information, good stories out to not only the veteran community, but just overall individuals, man, looking to grow, better themselves, and just become better people, man. So
thank you.
Good shit, man.
Thanks, big dog. Yeah, we got the same idea, man. I know you got your own podcast. What was your podcast called again?
It's called UnF Yourself.
Nice. Some Marine Corps stuff right there. that's like a Marine Corps term.
Well,
right?
it all started because if you remember boot camp, anytime you fucked up, the drill instructor, the first thing he would do is do the knife hand, point at you and tell you unfuck yourself, right?
Right.
And this sort of started through my journey in 2008 when, I was homeless and, alcoholic, drinking like crazy. And I remember having to snap out of it when life kicks you in the ass and having kids and realizing that it's not just about you anymore. It's, you have a responsibility as a father, as a husband. And the term just, dude, you need to unfuck yourself came in. And so for the longest, I used to record myself secretly talking to myself as a way of therapy. That was sort of my, kind of like, bro, get your shit together type thing. I didn't want to talk to a therapist, and you and I know that going through the VA and going that process with therapists it's not always the best. And
correct. I
tried it and it never worked. In fact, I felt that I got the opposite information. So I would just record myself, like sort of self-talking to myself. And that's how it all started until a couple of years later, I said, you know what, maybe I should launch this. And that's what gave entry to the UnF Yourself podcast. We're averaging about 40,000 downloads now. I had great guests on the podcast. I'm doing Natalie Eve Marie, the former WWE diva, tomorrow.
Nice.
So I'll be on the Alcoholics with them. And thankfully, it's just opened up the door for a lot of great individuals that I have met along the way and share their stories. And the whole purpose of the podcast was not to make it a motivational, rah-rah, other type of podcast. It was more like, let me show real, authentic stories of people overcoming, but what did they do exactly to pivot and change their lives?
I love that, man.
How they unfuck themselves.
Yeah, exactly. How they fuck themselves.
dig
And a
it.
lot of it, believe it or not, it's sports, jiu-jitsu, just getting your mind right on that physical aspect, which that's why I think it's crucial. And it's so important for people to start that way, because everybody has this misconception that to change and better yourself, all you gotta do is go follow somebody, do this, read a fucking book. But dude, just start with changing your inner self. Trust me, go walk. Nature, dude, I still go to the beach and sit there and just watch the waves. Sometimes just jump in and you'd be amazed at what that does to you, bro. It's insane. But we need that clarity, bro.
We do. Yeah, and I totally agree. I remember when we got on, when I got on your podcast, man, we had like some deep moments there, man. We were talking about all kinds of stuff. We were talking about our dads. It obviously, like, I have a history with my dad, not being around in the present, and we had different versions of how our dads weren't there for us, either emotionally or mentally or whatever. And mine was, my dad left when I was 5 to go pursue, being a female, and for me, not having a man, it hurt me, like really, really bad, growing up, and I rebelled and I got angry and stuff like that, which I've talked a few times on this podcast about, but JP has a whole different story and a whole different angle. You want to kind of share like some of your past and some of your story and just kind of how you got to where you're at and, as successful as you are and everything like that, Marine Corps, stuff like that.
So, came here, early age, fleeing the war in El Salvador. This is when the whole Civil War was going on. In fact, I was just sharing this yesterday. It's funny, dude. This whole fitness journey has taken me on a whole different road. I am now the group leader at my church for all the sophomore kids, the high school kids, which I never thought in a million years that I'd be doing that. And I think me and you spoke about, parenting and how I was having trouble with my son, who's a junior now, 16 years old. And here I am now at a church, life group, helping these sophomore kids. And God behold, they give me all the troublemaker and the cool kids. And I'm sitting there like, bro, this is a test. What the hell's going on, man? Like, I mean, it's like, I already got one at home and I got to come here. But yesterday was so impactful because, they finally opened up to me. And a lot of them, and these are wealthy kids. We're talking about Newport, Corona del Mar. You figure they have their shit together, parents good to go. But dude, I would say 80% of them is the opposite. No relationship with the father. Father's missing. Father's not there. And when they broke down, dude, I felt it. And I felt like this is the reason why some of these kids end up, pivoting the wrong direction, because they don't have that one person to talk to. And if God put me here in front of them for a reason, it's for that. It's the way they opened up, bro. And I shared my story and I shared how, all I ever wanted from my dad. And I remember being part of a church group at that age. And I remember we would have this moment where you could pray for whatever you want. They would turn off the lights. They would put out music and they'll say, pray deeply, heartily for whatever you want. And I never prayed for monetary stuff. I never prayed for a nicer house. And although we lived in a shitty apartment in Hollywood with rats and roaches, I would always pray for a hug from my dad. Like I wanted a hug, like one of those hugs where you could just feel it in your soul, bro. Mm-hmm. And I would purposely go all the way behind where all the kids were at because I knew I would cry. And I would just sit there by myself and cry. And I wouldn't go to the front for them to pray for me or anything. And yesterday they did a similar thing at church. And I saw some of these kids step back. And some of those kids that went back are the ones that opened up the most and were hurting. And I put myself in that position. And, I remember when I would cry, dude, I would clear up my eyes real quick. So when the lights come on, nobody knew I was crying. I would go home, but I would never address it to my dad. I would never say nothing. I would never engage anything. And years later, obviously, my dad, me and him stopped talking is one of the reasons why I joined the Marine Corps. And when we finally fixed that relationship, and I went to El Salvador in 2020 and fix it and spoke to him and found out exactly why he was the way he was and everything he had gone through, I finally got that hug, bro. And I showed everybody that picture. I have that picture hang when I got that hug, bro. And dude, they just started bawling. And me too, man. I was just like, fuck. Obviously, my dad's no longer here. He passed away 2 years ago. But, I believe that my story, if I could sum it up all in one word, is I would say it's the lack of being relentless when I needed to, right? Because I joined the Marine Corps trying to prove my dad that I could be the man that he said that I wasn't good enough. Everything that I have achieved in life was always proving somebody that I could get it done. I joined real estate because they told me that as a Marine, tattooed, bald, you'll never fucking make it here. I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking show you. And I did it. So my whole life has been proving motherfuckers that I could get it done. But it never brought me fulfillment because of that. Everything was rooted out of the wrong reason. So it doesn't matter how much success you achieve. If it was rooted out of all these wrong things, you're never going to fucking be happy. Mm-hmm. And that's sort of what changed 3 years ago when I figured this shit out and I realized, dude, I have made money in real estate. I'm not fucking happy. I have lived in the best places. I'm not fucking happy. I'm doing this. I'm not happy. And I started changing and I flipped everything and I started just focusing on my family and truly living, bro. And that's where everything changed. So, although we go through all this shit, even through the military and as parenting, as husband, as wives, whatever, if you don't truly find what that call is, because we all have a call and a purpose. I really do believe that. You're here for a reason, bro. And it might not be moving fucking shit around. It might be sharing messages. Eric's here, not because whatever he does on the side, but maybe because he's a good teacher. And that mentorship that he could provide to students and other individuals could be so life impactful that could change their lives forever, And I think that sometimes we tend to focus on all the wrong things because we're like, well, fuck, that's not what I wanted to do, because social media tells me that if you do that, you're not going to fucking make money, have the Lamborghini, have the fucking Ferrari. So fuck that. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do fucking the opposite. And you keep on getting part of that hamster wheel that just rolls and rolls forever. And then you're never fucking happy. And then the next thing you know, you're 80, 90, you died. And what did you do with your life? Nothing. So, yeah, man. In a nutshell, that's kind of my story.
I love it, man. Dude, that's so powerful, man. And everything's so different, yet so the same, right? Like a lot of our versions, of like how we grew up. And it's funny because, excuse me, they call Marines the bastard children. We were called the Bastard Brigade. That's what like our little unit was. And we used to always say that. And at first, it was funny because I never even knew what a bastard was. I'd actually ask about it. I was like, what's a bastard, Mm-hmm. And a bastard is, a son without a father, And so I was like, man, that's crazy, And then like we kind of adopted it, And it's funny because when I got into the club life, when I was doing my motorcycle stuff, one of the clubs that I was in, they were called the Bastard Brigade. That was like their nickname, And it's like you end up embracing all the things that you thought were like something that would hold you back, and you end up embracing it. You're like, all right, well, forget it. I'm a bastard. I'm going to represent that. That's who I am. And it's like I did that for so many years. Like just embracing all the bad things, and I was like, dang, did that make me feel better? That I'm doing it. It's like it kind of helps a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's like, does that really matter?
And now here you are addressing it from a different direction.
Correct. Even at 41 years old, addressing
dig all that stuff up to take a look at it and put it in the right way it should be.
And I looked at JP and I told, me and JP had this long ass talk on his podcast, and we got deep with some shit, man. Like I think at points we were like tearing up about stuff. And I was talking about, not feeling like a man, like I wanted to feel like a man because my dad took his manhood. And not only that, like he didn't even raise me. Like he wasn't there, like in the present. So I had to figure out how to be a man on my own. And to be a man, I thought it was like being the ultimate tough guy. I don't know if you remember this conversation. We were talking about it. But I guess where I'm trying to get at with it is, it's not about being the ultimate tough guy, because tough guys are just hurt inside.
Yeah, they're always hiding something, protecting a vulnerability.
Yeah, because anger is fear. We all know that. Being angry is just in fear. You know what I'm saying? And so if you're in fear,
it all starts with that trauma, bro. That's the crazy thing about trauma, and it's something that we need to break the cycle as parents, bro, as fathers, because it's the same thing. You are seeking that validity, what's the word? Validation, because your father stepped out, so now you feel like, fuck that, I need to prove that I'm a man. I'm not that route. I'm not gonna go that route. And I'm gonna share something too with you here. in this podcast is something that I'm dealing with John, my son. And so in elementary, he was going through this process of he was getting bullied, and then junior high got really bad. I think I told you we found a video of him being dragged through the hall, getting
Holy
beat up
shit,
on
really?
TikTok, and he was actually entertaining these people on the comments, saying, "Oh yeah, that was cool, that was fun." That was his way of accepting it. So we had to find the root, and it took me a while to understand, because as a father, you get upset. You're like, fuck that, stand up for yourself, right? Like, we grew up old school, bro. You fuck somebody up and that's it. You go back after it. That's the way you dealt with it, right? But that's really the wrong way too, because think about it. There has to be something else causing that, right? Why is it that he's inputting himself in these situations? It's not because he wants to join a crew, be cool or whatever. Something might have triggered that. And the more deeper we found when we got a therapist, we found out that in his 5th grade, there was a kid that was showing them gay porn. And then we feel that something might have happened. This kid might have done something to John. We found out later on that this kid himself had 2 dads and was being molested by his parents. So that's what triggered John to go on this behavior pattern. And we couldn't figure it out until dude, this was recently, bro, maybe like 2 years ago. And now it all makes sense of why he acted, why he had these explosion anger moments, why. And so I had to change my approach as a father, right? I couldn't sit there and still be like, hey, da-da. So
you can't get mad at him for that.
I started. Yeah,
you can't come at him aggressively.
Like, hey, well, I know you got upset for that, because last year was very tough, bro. Last year was the first time he actually stand up to me. And that was the hardest thing. I mean, I did it to my dad, I remember. And as a man, if you have a son, he's always going to want to check you for that alpha position. I mean, it happens in the wilderness. It's just human nature, right?
What did you do?
And he tried to test me, bro. He got up and got explosive. He talked back to his mom a certain way and then like clenched his fist. And I said, absolutely not. You're not going to do that. So he launched at me. And when he launched at me, I mean, thank God for jiu-jitsu, because these kids nowadays, man, fucking strong. I mean, quick little heel sweep and boom to the floor, knee on belly. And I just hold him there. And I said, you're not moving, bro. And he's like, get off me. I'm going to kill you. And da-da. So I told my wife, call the cops. Call the cops. Cops came. He ran to his room. He fucks up. I go to the upstairs room and I'm like, hey, the cops are here. He thought I was playing. He goes, oh yeah, I got something for the cops. And then the cops are like, really? And when he heard that, he goes, no, sir. I was playing. Just make sure my dad's not here and I'll talk to you guys. And the cop went in there and, they spoke to him. The cop come back. He goes, dude, you have a really good kid. He's just hurting inside. He goes, he cried in there. He hugged me. He goes, man, look, he goes, I'm also tearing up. He goes, this kid is not doing nothing bad. He's hurting. He goes, let me help you guys out. He's really what introduced us to church. And that's where we started changing perspective with John. And that's why I say, bro, it's cycle. So I went through that whole cycle of my dad never meant to say that I just sucked and I wasn't good enough. My dad was just trying to give me hard skin. The way he delivered the message was not the right way. He would, beat me up, be stricter and all that process, because he would try to say, hey, fuck that, you got to man up, because life is going to kick you in the fucking balls. Life is going to be fucking tough and you need to prepare for that, because when shit hits the fan, you're not going to have somebody come here and extend their hand and pick you up. A lot of the times you're going to fucking have to figure that shit out. And that's what he tried to tell me. He delivered it the wrong way. When we finally mens up and had the communication, he told me, he goes, dude, this is what I meant. I'm sorry. Nobody taught me that. I didn't have a dad. I grew up in the street. I had no love. I wanted to hug you so many times. I wanted to tell you I love you, but I didn't know how. And so when I started flipping the switch and I started going through this whole path of just bettering myself, becoming a better father, a better man, a better husband, things started changing dramatically, bro. And that's when I realized, and this is the hardest part, bro, for us as a man. Do you know that the real definition of a man is not how much you fucking bench press? It's not how well you fucking shoot, how many girls you fucking slept with, how many dudes you choked out. It comes down to how much of your own shit can you own up. That's a fucking real man. A real man will own up to his own shit. And that's what I did. So I went on this whole list, bro, of apologizing to a lot of people. First thing I did is stop drinking. Then I went on this apology list, and that shit fucking sucked. That shit was not a fucking fun route, bro. I started with family that I still don't talk to. And I mean, it is what it is. I apologize. They told me to fuck off. Some of them try to fight me. It's cool. I took it. That's a man. A man owns it, right? And then lastly, I apologized to my kids. I went to John. I took him out, and I apologized. He cried, bro. He cried and he got on his knees and hugged me and said, "Dad, that's all I wanted to hear." And bro, that shit broke my heart because that was the simple solution that could have solved all these problems. But because I was stubborn, because I was still not thinking the way I should have, I was just letting that shit go by, man. So trauma is real, bro. And trauma is generational too. So if we don't break that cycle, guess what? Our kids are going to go through the same thing. And then it keeps on passing down and passing down till somebody has to fight that fight. And I'm fighting that fight now.
Dude, that's so fucking powerful, man. I got chills right now, dude. God damn, man. Thank you for saying that.
The apology, we talked a couple episodes ago about clearing like cosmic debt and
karmic debt.
Going backwards in order to go forwards.
Sometimes, I see what you're saying.
Sometimes that's the way, this thing that's, you always meet this wall. This situation always appears. It always appears. It always appears. And when you handle it a different way, like you did get a different outcome.
Correct.
I'm very good at like cutting people off. You come at me a certain way, I'm not going to entertain you. But like, I'm also responsible for that interaction as well. I'm the 50% of that,
Life's not about how you respond. It's about how you react, right? Is that what they say? So it's like a reaction thing. So it's not like someone could say whatever they want to you, but it's about how you react to it.
How you control yourself.
Correct. And dude, I connect with you so much on that, dude. And I think, so when my dad left when I was 5, my mom had no choice but to step it up and be the ultimate superwoman, right? She had to raise a man. She had to raise a daughter. She had to do it with no fucking money. She had to do it in a mobile home where there was fucking knuckleheads everywhere and try to keep her son in line, but at the same time raise him to be a man, but at the same time. So she had her own way of disciplining us. My mom's way of disciplining us was smacking the shit out of us and beating the shit out of, mostly me, because I deserved it, right?
Right on.
And that's how we talk, like us in our generation. But nowadays, that's it's not the same thing. So, I had 3 daughters, so my way of disciplining them was not the same. But when they got out of line, I'd grab them, put them in their room. Or my oldest daughter, she fought not having a mom around, so she at the same time as around where you were with your son John, she stepped up to me. And she got in my face for like one of the first times, and she actually locked me in her room, and she turned against me, and she wouldn't let me out of the room. And and I do jujitsu, so I just kind of like got around her, and just like, and she's a big chick. My oldest daughter, she's just as tall as me almost, so I had to kind of like put a little strength into it. And then she struck me. She struck me in the face, and so I was like, okay. We're going to do this. Okay, cool. So I had to go down to the police, department. And I wasn't going to press charges on my daughter.
You got to let her know.
But I needed to like file it because she was at the point to where she was going to call. And I didn't want to get in trouble because I had, like rustled her and like, because it's different. If it was a son, I might have been a little bit different, but it was my daughter. So, and these were learned attributes because I had spanked her a few times in the past, and she still regretted that. And she still, didn't like that I did those things. And, things are different these days. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I went to the police department to say, hey, like, what do I do? Like, if she calls and says that, we were wrestling around, what do I say? And I remember telling him, the police officer, he's like, you got to talk to her. And I was like, it's not working. He's like, all right. And I remember like getting involved with like a social services that was like interfering. And they had talked to her, and they were basically saying that she was just hurting, inside. And she had, remorse issues for her mom that doesn't like call. And so it's like deeper than that. So I had to take a step back because I have all daughters and just be like, man, what my mom taught me it got me here, but it's not going to get me there. Right. So my mom was very physical. My mom was very structured, and I couldn't be like that because my mom never really gave me a whole lot of empathy. I remember like, begging for my mom to just, say I love you out of just, hey, I love you, son. Good night. And like, I would have to always say it. I remember being a kid and always telling my mom, I love you, mom. And she'd say, good night. And then I'd say, I love you, mom. And she'd say, good night. I'd say, I love you, mom. And she's like, God damn it. Like, what, why do you keep saying it? I already said it once. And I'm like, I know. But it was like this weird like tension buildup where I wanted like, I wanted the female emotional part from my mom, but she was being like really strong with me, you know? I guess what I'm trying to get at is we need our parents to do certain things. And if as parents, we don't try to understand our kids before it's too late, then we end up repeating the cycle because like, just like JP and how his dad raised him, my mom raised me the same way. But that's not going to like get our kids to the place to where they're trauma free and then they can go off and we can break that cycle. So what I did is I decided back when I was 37 that I was going to break that cycle. I watched like a clip on something and it you know, about like how history repeats itself. And I just decided, you know what? I'm going to be the last person that's hurt. I'm going to take all this on and I'm going to break that generational gap and I'm going to stop today. And my daughters are going to have clean, healthy relationships and lives. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to do that. So I started with myself and I literally just said, forget it. I'm just going to be their slave forever. And I'm just going to give them whatever they need. They need the best version of a man. I'm going to do that. They need to have a father that's physically fit. It shows that he takes care of his body. He takes care of his mind. He takes care of his house. You know, I want to show them the attributes of a man. You know, I still open the door for my daughters these days. You know, I make sure that they see every single step that a man should be doing. And I want them to see that because I want them to see that in me so that it transitions onto the man that they ultimately want to be with. So they find the right partner. So they don't have to deal with the generational drama and bullshit that I ended up bringing into my life and my relationships. Because you tend to find the person that your parents were in relationships. So I was always seeking women that had drama, had, you know, problems, had confusion, had, you know, explosive outcomes to their lives and things like that. People that had scars. And I was always seeking that. I was never seeking a healthy, nurturing, well-developed woman that had her shit together, that had a good mind on her shoulders, that had, you know, a degree. And so I was like, you know what? I need to build that person. So I did. You know, I got my degree. I tried to build the individual that I would admire most. Because if I was looking at myself as a partner, like a female looking for a man, I would choose me. Today, I would choose me. 4 years ago, I'd be like, fuck no, leave that dude alone. Find another dude. You know? So
that's the crazy part, bro, because Mike Rashid's a good friend of mine, right?
Who?
Bodybuilder guy. He just Mike Rashid.
Okay,
bodybuilder guy. He's with CT Flesher, all them guys.
Nice.
I like his way of thinking because he brought up a good point when he talked about parenting. He said, you got to respect your kids before they can respect you. And at first you think about it, you're like, wait a minute, screw that. That's my son. He needs to respect me, right? But think about it. If you're disrespecting him already, you're already teaching them to not respect you. And the other thing he said is, in the end of the day, you can't control everything they're going to do because they're also kids. 80% of the time, they're in school. They're being influenced by somebody else, especially now with social media, right? So what you can do is be able to speak to them, communicate, and lead by example. So what you're doing, I think it's amazing, bro. I mean, I always see you, you know, working out, training, doing all this stuff. Believe it or not, they're paying attention to that. They're paying attention to that. And with me, that was the hardest part because my wife was not always on board with the health, you know, and working out. And she always thought like, dude, you're crazy. And it wasn't until her our age, my wife has RA, it got really bad. And when she saw my health, I said, dude, do you plan? And I had a conversation with her, man. And I said, do you plan to be around enough to see your kids grow, get married? And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, if you're not taking care of yourself, and my wife's not fat, she's always been thin, but RA is a very serious disease. And if you don't cure it or start doing anything right now to try to make it get worse, you're not going to be walking pretty soon. And I told her, you know, I was straight honest, and some people might say I was fucked up. I was like, I don't want to be with somebody that doesn't want to better themselves. I don't want to be with somebody that's not seeing the problem and tackling it head on and waiting for it to get worse and then say, I'll do something that. Because fuck that. I'm like, by then, we don't know what we're going to have. We have twins, 2 years old. We need to be on check. So it clicked on her and she started changing. So we all eat the same thing. We all eat healthy. John and my wife work out with my other daughter 3 times out of the week. They see me working out like crazy every 6 days. John just picked up a book. My daughter loves reading. She loves business. But it all started because we started leading by example. We didn't push it. We never said, you guys have to go do this now. But because they see it, they start exploring it. And then now I'm having conversation with my daughter now. She's 12 years old and she's talking about boyfriends and all this stuff. And she goes, Dad, well, you know, if I ever have a boyfriend, I want to make sure that at least he's a center and has a good job because I don't want to be supporting no dude because I'm going to have my own business. And I'm just like, dude, that's like the best thing you want to hear. But again, it all starts because of those seeds you planted instead of just demanding. Respect them first, and then they're going to respect you back.
Straight up, man. Kids see everything, man. That's why I always say it's caught, not taught, right?
Dude, and the other thing is parenting is not an easy thing, bro. That's the parenting, marrying. We could talk about this all day, bro. And my scenario is going to be different than your scenario, than Eric's scenario, than Jose's scenario, because there's really no set formula. There's no one set thing that, hey, just do this, everything's going to work. As you and I know, every kid's going to be different. Who knows? My twins ends up being the totally opposite, crazy. There I go. I have to deal with this 15 years from now again. Damn, good thing I'm going to be in shape, 55 years old by then. But
right up, man.
You know what I'm saying?
You could definitely have
it's just
all sorts kids that come from the same family, but the kids are wildly different. And they grew up in the same house and they have the same mom and dad, but one just went this way, the other one went that way. And you see it all the time, But you guys are doing.
This is why the whole leading by example is so important. I'll give you guys another scenario, right? And my wife has a family member who the son was doing really good in jiu-jitsu. He was training down here with a bunch of guys from Checkmat, really good, solid dude, strong guy. All his other siblings are overweight. They don't do nothing. They lived in the same place for a long time. The dad's an alcoholic, spends his money in strip clubs, all this stuff. The mom doesn't work. And I just found out that he quit jiu-jitsu. He stopped working and just started going the same bad habit of just, I'm not going to work. I'm just going to chill and stay at home, because the siblings did the same thing, graduated. They're all overweight now. And when I finally saw him, this guy's big now. And I told his dad, his dad came out to me and he says, hey, what advice can you give me so I could get my kids back on track? Because I see what you're doing with John. I see what you're doing with Camila. And I said, bro, it's not even about what they have to do. It's what you need to do for yourself. And you just stop drinking. I go, because if you're not even taking the time to go work out with your son, you're not taking the time to go see your son when he was training, you're not taking the time to be there for your daughters, then they don't care, dude. This is probably a battle that you maybe lost already. And that's sad, bro. And he sat there and he says, but I just don't have time. I'm like, what do you mean you don't have time? But you have time to go drink with your friends after work? You have time to go to the strip club after work with your friends? Like, well, it's networking. Fuck that. Come on, bro. And that's where you realize the mindset. And it's sad for the kids. It's sad for the kids, because you had a kid that might have had potential, had the ability to break the cycle, and you just let that go now because of your fucking selfishness.
The environment that he created, and then those bad habits went to the kid.
Yep.
It's funny. Someone came at me.
It's really sad to see, man, because the kid was really good, man. And he told me, goes, hey, I want to compete. I think they actually signed him up for a tournament because he had already turned 16 and he didn't compete because nobody took him. And I'm just sitting there like, bro, like I told you, fuck, you should have called me. I would have took you. I would have picked you up. He goes, oh, I didn't want to bug you. And it's sad, man. It's sad to see young kids with a hunger let it go to waste because the parents don't want to be involved.
I hear what you're saying. I think, well, let me go back to what I was just about to say. There's a guy that reached out to me on Instagram, and people reach out to me like more often because like we do the podcast, and like it's starting to become more consistent. And I think that's what people see, whatever. And so they think, like, hey, you got it figured out. And the first thing I always tell them is, I ain't got it figured out. I don't think I ever will have it figured out. I got 3 daughters. And they always say like, hey man, you're doing a good job with your kids. You're a good dad. And I'm like, I'm trying to be a good dad. And I'm always like trying to like kind of like take a step back. But I remember this guy was like, hey man, so what's the answer, man? How do you get them to, do this? How do you get them to listen? And I'm like, I don't. It's about being consistent. I think that the biggest thing that I got to do is be consistent. And I think that's all you can do in parenthood. If you're a parent and you're trying to figure out, man, how do I do it right? How do I be the best parent? Okay, first, you just got to be consistent. That's all. Like, I'm going to say it over and over again. It's just about being consistent. Like, don't stop. If you love them, say you keep loving them. Just keep telling them you love them. Keep being there for them. All you got to do is just be there for them. That's it. Just be there to listen, be there to communicate, and make sure that your habits and your actions portray the individual that you would admire and that you would listen to. And if that's who you are, then they'll listen to that. They'll see that, right? Just remember that whatever you do, they're going to see it. And if they see it, they're going to emulate it. You know what I'm saying? And my daughter just came out of, she never really texts me like this. She just always usually like asks me for things, right? Because we have daughters, JP knows, right? They always ask, hey, Dad, can I have money? Hey, Dad, can I have this? Hey, Dad, blah, blah. It's always when they ask you, it's always asking for something. It's never like, hey, I wanted to talk to you, really. That's rare. But my daughter actually sent me a message the other day, and I can actually show it to you guys. She texted me out of nowhere, and this is just not like her. And it's just so weird because it was at night, and she's never done this before. You know, I made her dinner and then went to bed, and it was like getting pretty late. It was like 11:43 p.m. And then she texts me, I love you so much, Dad. Thank you for everything you do. I appreciate you. And it was like, what the hell? Like, where did that come from? I was like, that's just dope. Straight melted my heart, man. I started like tearing up, bro. I was like, and then I realized that the changes that I have made over the last 4 years are starting to take effect. She's starting to notice.
Okay, right on.
And she's starting to see. Like my dad's being more there. Like she's starting to see this person that I think she wants as a parent, not the person that she wishes that I was as a parent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She sees you doing the work and not necessarily like, it ain't easy. You know, like you got so many things going on in your life. You're always there at the end of the day to even making dinner. You know, like that's a big deal. I'm sure she can make her own dinner.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah, I try to do like a family day once a week, you know, where we get together. I know everyone's busy, at least just to sit down and eat. And if they're not there, I just have a habit to where I just make them food, even if they don't eat it. I make them food and I just put it in the fridge. And I just make that like a thing. I usually do it on Mondays. But it was like super powerful to see that. And she's growing. She's had some issues in school recently, trying to hang around a bunch of knuckleheads, you know, like I did and stuff. And she comes to me and she talks to me, and I'm always like, hey, just be your own person. Do what you feel is right. I was like, hey, I'm not in charge of you. I always tell them like in a direction, my kids, I tell them in a direction to where like, hey, you know, if you're asking for my opinion, this is what I would do, but you're going to do whatever you're going to do. And I always leave it like that. Because if you say, hey, no, this is what you need to do, I don't say that. I say, hey, this is what I would do. So if you're asking me, I would listen to the conscience, the little voice right here, and I would say, hey, does that feel right?
Yeah, give them the keys. Like have them drive, but tell them where they should go.
And I would say, but you're going to do whatever you want to do, but your consequences are going to catch up with you, right? If you're doing wrong, it's going to catch up with you, and it's going to eventually affect you.
You never get away with doing wrong.
Right.
It always gets you.
Yeah.
So you know, one thing you could do, I was going through the same thing with John is, and shout out to my therapist because she's the one that brought this up. I used to get upset too because we moved to Irvine and John happens to find the only 5 knuckleheads in all of Irvine. And I was just like, are you freaking serious? Right. And so, you know, my therapist is like, well, instead of complaining about it, why don't you pick them all up and take them out and start showing them all the good stuff you do, your stories and all that. And I said, fuck it. So I got them on. I took them to the gym. And first thing I did is, of course, I'll perform them on bench pressing and everything and put them through my, you know, Marine Corps boot camp fucking training session. And they were like, oh, dude, that automatically gets credits. They're like, oh, man, your dad is fucking strong or da-da-da. And then they started asking him like, hey, when's the next time your dad's going to take us to the gym? And what I started doing is every time they would come, I'll slowly start putting in those seeds of change. And what I figured out is a lot of them, it's like Eric said, it's their environment. Some of them want to change, but unfortunately, they go back to that same environment. And because they're going back to that same environment, they feel that they need to replicate that same story, that same scenario that they're constantly seeing. But when you show them that, no, dude, there's difference, they're like, oh, man. So I took 2 of them to my gym, Lifetime, right? I go to Lifetime. It's like the Equinox, really nice. And I said, look, guys, in life, you have options. You could go to that one gym where you're going now, where you go to the sauna and it smells like straight ass, or you could come to something like this. I go, but this comes with a price. You got to earn it, right? You come here, you're rubbing elbows with individuals that have businesses, that want to better themselves, that are positive. You're going to see individuals that, you know, want to hate on you, backstab you, that are not looking to take their lives to the next level. They want a better lifestyle for their families, for themselves, and health is very important. And one of them was like, damn, that makes sense. Like, you know what, man? I want to go to college so I can get a degree, so I can work harder, so I could come to a gym like this. And that's when I felt like I won, because now that knucklehead that was around my son now is going to be able to influence my son to pursue better because he felt it. It hit him. It might not hit my son now. It hit him. And then guess what? Now that guy's going to want to change and be around my son and be like, you know what? maybe we should do something different. Let's not go that route today.
You planted the
Let's
seed.
make a change. Yeah, let's pivot.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do the same thing, bro. Get a bunch of those knuckleheads and hey, let's take them to the gym. Take them to Eric's gym. Do a fun jiu-jitsu session, and then after have a powwow. Do a little circle and just talk, dude. Open up, share your story. Have Eric share his story, and I guarantee you that something's gonna click for somebody. And you only need one person for it to click, bro. One person, and once that happens, bro, that's it. Now it's a reverse cancer effect. Now that person's gonna start telling everybody, "Yo, man,
JP's cool, bro. He's the cool dad, man. He's, and then they start saying that to John, and then all of a sudden John's like, you're right. My dad is cool, bro. I relate to you on that. Even with my daughter Hunter, she was dealing with a bunch of stuff like that, and I always told her, I was like, Hunter, I always tell her, if you want to see how your kid's gonna be, look at their 5 closest friends. If you want to see how your kid's gonna turn out, look at their 5 closest friends, because who we are, who we hang around is who we're going to be, right? That whole thing. And I did the same thing you did. I just started hanging around them. I'd start picking them up. Hey, you guys want to go somewhere? You guys want to go ice cream? Oh, hell yeah, let's go. And then they're all, and then, so they have a nickname. All her little girlfriends, they call me Cool Pops.
Nice.
They call me, hey, what's up, Cool Pops?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Out of all the ones.
Yeah, it's a cool name, dude. Yeah, I'll take that. Whatever, And then, it's funny. Now they're like, kind of like, I take them places and have like a relationship with each of them. And after that incident, my daughter had an incident where she got caught with like a weed pen at school.
Mm-hmm.
She thought it was a vape. I was like, what the hell are you doing? I had to go down there and talk to her, and she was in trouble. This is just like a month or two ago. She's like, well, my friend, she found it, and then, we were just curious about it. We just tried it. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And so I went to each one of her friends after school. I drove to each one of their houses because I take them home all the time.
Yeah.
And I talked to each one of their parents, and I talked to them. I was like, I'm so disappointed that happened. I thought you were there for Hunter because she looks up to you, and I really thought that all these talks that we ever had, like you guys weren't supporting. They're like, I mean, we're just curious, and I'm like, and so like now they all feel guilt, like they
know that that's not a something they could bring to you.
Yeah, and they all kind of reached out to me after, and they were all like, hey, we had made a mistake, I was like, hey, it's water under the bridge. I just want you guys to be better, and so they understood. But I think that like, hitting all the friends up, making it so that you have control a little bit over like the friendships. Like you can't change who they're going to be friends with because then they'll rebel, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you could just put yourself around them and try to find more information about the friends. And I'm like that. I'm like super intrusive with the friends. I want to know who they are. I want to know their name. I want to shake their hand. I want to know who the parents are. I'd like to get into the house if I can. I want to know who Uncle Bobby is. Like I want to know everybody and everything. And I want to make sure I have phone numbers, and I want to exchange information, because I feel like the more involved they see you in their daughter's life, their parents might not resemble the same action. So then they're going to end up attaching themselves to me more as like, oh, I don't want to let him down. So when it comes time to do something that might not be, good or whatever with your daughter, they're going to be like, hey, you know what? I don't think your dad's going to like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They're going to advocate on your side. You're going to be like one of those angels on their wing. Like,
correct.
Cool dad says this,
Yeah. Cool Pops wouldn't like that. He said he didn't like that. And I always give them examples, and I gave them all examples of why you guys shouldn't have grabbed that pen, why you guys shouldn't have tried to smoke that at school, why you shouldn't have done that. Like, why did you do that? Like, why? What if it was laced with fentanyl? What if there was something in it?
Oh, yeah.
Died?
There's a lot of stuff now.
And I was like, that would have hurt me so bad. Do you understand that? It's not about what you did. It's about how it would have affected me if something happened to you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, oh my God, I didn't think about that, Dad. You're right. I'm so, all right, cool. Well, we moved on from that, but I love you. And then you have the hugging moment, and then there's a little bit of guilt involved, and then you keep talking to them and you bring them back up. So it's like, I think that's just life. They got to learn from you. And, but you just got to stay consistent with them.
Going back a little bit, JP, I don't know. I'm lucky enough. I'm a high school coach and a college coach, and I have my own private gym here.
Tell them what you do with Beat the Streets, bro.
I work for a company called Beat the Streets, and it is pretty much taking kids who have never been exposed to wrestling, introducing them to a whole new environment, and giving them something else to look forward to. And I've had we start them off at 7. They get to high school, they're elites at that point. It's kind of like they're purple or brown belts in high school, just like grappling. And then if I'm lucky, I get them in college. And the best ones, the ones that we've had the most success where we find them is the principal's office or the dean's office. And they're just haven't found anything that connects to them yet, you know? And it's something that martial arts, grappling, physical exercise, it gets you away from whatever it is you're constantly thinking about. You know, you're not thinking about home when somebody's trying to choke you. You're not thinking about like, you know, whatever traumas in your mind when you're like doing push-ups till you're going to puke, you know? And when you're exposed to that 2, 3, 5 days a week, it gets further and further that you think about it. And it's just something too that like, as a coach, you want to, an instructor, you want to be very structured and always be there and always kind of have the same message. So that way they know where the law is, they know where the line is. And that way when they come to you, they know they're not going to try to get one over with you, and they could rely on you for that. They could lean on you. You know what I'm saying? And just listening to you gentlemen speak on this, it's like, you know, we were all those kids that needed that. And as adults, we can now provide that in such a 360 degree way of like, we've been there, done that, you know, even got the t-shirt about it, but it lends to our authenticity, you know? So it's very cool.
Yep.
It's awesome.
It's funny because John wrestles, by the way. He wrestles here at Northwood High School. And I kind of steered him out of jiu-jitsu. I think I was that what's the word?
Overzealous parent?
Enthusiastic dad. And be like, come on, you're not passing right. And I think it was so much that he probably was like, screw this. I don't want to do jiu-jitsu anymore. But in wrestling, he kicked and screwed me. He kicked and screamed. And I said, no, you're going to do wrestling when we got here. I took him. He started his sophomore year here in this school here. And thankfully, the coach is Kyle Ennis. I don't know if you probably heard of him. He trains at Triunfo here in Orange County. And dude, solid dude, and never wrestled, but black belt jiu-jitsu. And he says, I love kids. I want to come in here. And I asked a bunch of my jiu-jitsu friends, and they're like, dude, the guy's legit. So I said, screw it, I'm putting John in there. So I took him to camp. He fought me, dropped him off. By the end of the day, he's all like, Dad, I think I like this.
Right on.
And he wrestled all of his year. He did really good. And then he's going to go back into wrestling. He starts school next week again because he was doing homeschool. So I'm excited, dude. And bro, what I want to propose is what we could do is get a bunch of these wrestling kids and let's drive up to your school. Let's bring these kids together and let's do a camp, man. I'll provide the food or whatever we got to do. We get some dope footage.
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah, and let's just kind of like make it fun, man. I'm all about that stuff, man, and especially with kids and all that. But dude, wrestling changed John completely, and especially like you said, having a good coach, a good mentor that actually cares. Because Coach Kyle, man, he's on it, and I'm a very involved parent, just like Colt said he is. So I'll be at the school every other day. The principal knows me, the cops, all Irvine PD knows who I am. Everybody, so John knows that he can't get one off me because I will find out.
Yeah, you're all in
like
on
I'm
your
friends
son.
with the
That's how you
janitor.
should
I'm friends with the bus driver. I'm like, bro,
it's the same thing, bro.
He tells me, he goes, Dad, you need to stop talking to people, man, because too many people know you. And I'm like, dude, that's what I do.
I agree. And just going back to everyone knows you, man. If you want to be a good parent, the more people that know you, they know your character and they'll support you because people want to support good people. And I think that even with me, like I go, like you're saying, like I go to my kids' schools. I make sure the principal knows me. Like my daughter's principal at her high school, he hates me, right? And it's funny to say that, but he really does because I've taken it down to where I want my daughter to have consequences for certain things. Because she had a problem with being late to school. And I get her there on time, but then she wants to be late.
I got you. Yeah.
She wants to do her own thing, and she's got these truancies.
Nothing good at
and
this
I get
point,
the letters,
yeah.
and every time I get a letter, I say, hey, you owe me a 500-word essay. I don't want to get into this too far, but like I'm trying to teach you that punctuality is important. It really matters to me to be about my word. And the principal won't take any action, but they send me the letters. So I finally went in there with all a stack of these letters, and I was like, here you go. Here's your letters back. He's like, what am I going to do with these? And I was like, you don't do anything about it. And I can't do anything about it. So until you do something about it, stop sending me letters. Stop calling me because I'll do what I have to do at home. You do what you have to do at school. And then, but like I think people need to take, action. and if they're not going to do it, I'm going to be up there, and I'm going to be talking to the school. I'm going to be talking to, just like you said, the janitor, the teacher, the whoever, until they understand like, hey, your dad's very involved. He might want information rapidly, and he might be like very, I wouldn't say I'm aggressive. I'm just adamant. I'm very adamant. And I think that's like a Marine Corps thing. Maybe we could all agree as Marines.
Yeah.
Like if we don't have answers and you become sensitive, I'm not going to back off just because you're sensitive. You got to give me the answer, or else I'm going to make a decision.
You need information to make your decision.
Correct. And some people take that as like, a lot of people don't like to deal with people, I think. So they get a little nervous.
Or they don't want to give you bad news.
Yeah, or they just don't want to do something. But either way, like just tell me what you want to do. If you don't want to say it, you don't want to tell me what your plan of action is, that's fine. Well, I'm going to create my own plan of action. I'm pulling my daughter out of the school, and we're going to put her in a private school. But that's fine if you're not willing to do anything. But you got to tell me what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And if you have a plan of action, then great. And if you don't, then I'll create one for you. We'll create one together. But there's got to be something, because we're action-based people as Marines. So, but that's great, man. Dude, that was huge, man. That was a good podcast.
JP, it was nice to meet you. Nice to talk to you. What did you do in the Marine Corps?
I was infantry.
Let's go.
Hey.
You're military too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was in the Marine Corps.
Space Marines.
Oh, nice. How'd you start jiu-jitsu? When did you start jiu-jitsu? Let me guess. You fell in love with McMap and you said, I'm going to now pursue jiu-jitsu.
Hey.
I did. I wrestled in high school, joined the military, joined the Marine Corps, and then I wrestled in college. And when college, when college was over, I got into jiu-jitsu right after that. And that was it,
He's a Jean-Jacques black belt.
Nice. Oh, you probably know my boy. I forget. Aaron.
Aaron who? What's the last name? Probably.
Australian guy.
Aaron Cootie.
Aussie.
Yeah, Aaron Cootie, Basil Watches.
Yeah.
Shout out to Aaron. That's the homie.
Yeah, Basil Watch. Yeah.
That's my boy. I train with him all the time. Super cool guy. That guy had a heart attack on the mat. Freaking still kicking, still training.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He used to be much heavier though. He used to be much heavier. He's lost the weight, But
Aaron was heavy?
Yeah, right. So it's hard. He looks skinny now. So this is before we knew him.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I met him skinny, so I never saw the big side of him. And he just competed on Masters too.
Yeah.
That's crazy. A lot of my buddies are all black belts now. So I started jiu-jitsu in 2006 with Brazilian top team in Long Beach while I was still in the Marine Corps. I was in Los Alamitos. And I started doing no gi, and it was mostly no gi and wrestling.
Los Al, you were with 223?
223.
Nice.
Yeah, golf company.
Right on. Cool.
Yeah. And so it was crazy because back then it was still in the era where if you weren't Brazilian, bro, you were getting no love. It's very, very like strict Brazilian. And I remember they would just throw me in the gauntlet and just getting beat up. And, crazy Marine that I was, they were just like, oh, this guy will put it up. And I actually got my wrist broken by Josemir Pajares. They used to call him Tequillo.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah.
The tequila?
Yeah.
Tequillo, yeah. Dang, really?
Tree trunk. It stands for tree trunk. Yeah, dude. He came in and he was going to compete. I don't know if he was doing UFC yet. I can't remember at that time. I just remember they were doing like a Shark Tank. And I tried to go for a double leg. And I don't know what he did. He swept me. And he's good at his leg lock. So he went for the leg. So I quickly put my hand under to go. I don't even know what the fuck I tried to do. The next thing I know is I couldn't even tap. I just heard my wrist crack.
Oh, man.
And then he just like let go and he goes, oh. And then the professor at the time, he's just like, that's why you need to tap. And I was like,
fuck, dude, you're a white belt going against an elite black belt. Like they should have just played with you a little bit.
It was ruthless, bro. And so I stopped jiu-jitsu for a while because of that.
Yeah,
and it was just kind of testing different locations. And then obviously surgeries. I was injured in Iraq, so I've had a total of 7 surgeries. I just have my 4th knee surgery on my left knee just 13 days ago, and now they need to do full knee replacement. So I haven't been training for a month now, and I just went to my post-op, and they just told me that in December I need to go through another surgery. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I'd be back in jiu-jitsu by December, and now you're telling me that I need to go another surgery in December, and this time they're saying that it's going to be a longer rehab because they're inputting back a cartilage in. And so they have to open up the knee more. to put cartilage in between the joints. But it's either that or full knee replacement, which is going to take me out forever. So I'm kind of bummed that I won't be doing jiu-jitsu now until what probably seems like next year.
Wow.
I was just at that position where I dropped the weight. I have always fought ultra heavy. I have a podium in ultra heavy. I have gotten gold and silver and bronze at ultra heavy, which is crazy because I'm only 5'7", bro.
No way. Yeah, you definitely need to be way down there.
Dude, ultra heavy at 5'7" is insane.
Fucking beast then right there.
I fought this one dude one time who was 6'6", 300 and something, and that was insane. I think I have the video. I gotta show you guys, see you guys in person. But the dude's picking me up by the collar, literally, of the gi, and picking me up and throwing me around, and you could just hear my daughter in the background. You got this, daddy. And I'm like, gosh.
I think I saw it, bro.
Dude, and then he slams me down because obviously it doesn't matter what I did. The guy's strength was, I mean, this guy, if you ever seen the Ninja Turtle movie, the one that came out, the realistic one, the dude looked like one of them. It's insane.
Oh, man. And
then he gets me up, he slams me down, and then puts knee on belly on me and literally tries to break my back. And then my daughter is going again, Daddy, you got this. And then I think he looked at my daughter. He looked at me. He said, I'm not going to do this, dude. So he just started playing with me, just collecting points. I was like, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And it's funny because now he's a brown belt with Checkmat. And I seen him recently and we went to train and I rolled with him. And I actually got him in an armbar. But he's all like, I don't like you smaller. He goes, you're too fast now. But dude, that's why it was kind of upsetting and mentally. And it goes back again to, dealing with that mental mindset, right? Because I gained all my weight after my third knee surgery and they put me on bed rest for a year. And that's what shot up my weight. I went from, I was around 170 to like 190, then 220. And then, dude, it just got out of control. So when I was going into this surgery, I was 260. I'm 188 right now. And so I'm thinking like, bro, hell no. I'm going to go through that process again and gain the weight and all this stuff. And then I call my mentor and he goes, dude, snap the fuck out of it. Like, just like you say, unfuck yourself. You're already setting yourself up for that failure. You're not going to fucking lose. You're not going to fucking gain weight. You're still going to stay on track. You're still going to fucking do what you can. And I said, fuck yeah. Second day after my surgery, I was already on peptides, getting recovery ready. Third days I was moving. Just 3 days ago, I did 2 miles on the bike. And in fact, I'm losing more weight. I dropped 1% body fat on it. My bench is still the same. My cardio is still the same. I have my kids just kind of jump on me and I'm like just struggling, doing shrimping, just whatever I can to keep that cardio moving. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm still going to pursue it. I love jiu-jitsu, man. I think I'm at that point now where jiu-jitsu now is, yeah, that's it, dude.
It's
I'm in, like, the community you meet after that, when shit starts clicking, I really think that's really when it hits you like, okay, like, fuck yeah, this is dope now. Like, cause for the longest, I'm a blue belt. And for the longest, you're just like, bro, I'm fucking trying everything. It's not working. But you also got to remember that you train with the same individuals often that they already know your game. So they already know like, oh, JP's going to pressure pass me this way. So I already prepared for that, right? But then you go somewhere else and you see that one move working. You're like, holy shit, it works. Fuck, I could pull this off. All right, this jiu-jitsu shit really works. And then you go to competition and then you take on somebody that is ranked higher on IBJJF and you're like, wait a minute, I tapped that dude out and I'm not even on the fucking chart. Yes, holy shit, like this shit does work, like, So I think that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu, that when it starts evolving, when it starts kicking and you really just appreciate it. And it's not even about beating people, bro. It's just appreciating it. That's when it fucking makes sense.
Dude, I just want to start off by saying, dude, how proud of you I am, bro. You've come a long way. I can feel it. And when people come into your life, and even over the years, man, I've seen a huge change in just your aura and like who you are and like how you give off energy. Yeah. It's just like you've reached your actual self, like you're on that path, and even with myself, I feel like so much more calm, because I'm like just being honest and I'm being who I am. Like how I speak is just who I am. I'm not hiding it anymore. I don't care if anyone likes me or whatever. I just don't give a shit anymore. I'm just like, this is me. I'll find my people. If you support me, you like me, and I'm a good person, then great. If not, and you want to judge me, that's great too. It's okay. I wish you well. But I can see it in you, bro. I can see it in you. And that's the reason why I was so excited to have you on the podcast. I know I've been asking you for a few weeks. You've been busy. But as I've seen his weight loss journey, man, I'm like, dude, that takes a lot of fucking courage, bro. And it is not easy, guys.
Do you have pictures of you heavier on your social media?
I do, man.
I'm gonna go look for it.
I look back at them and I can't believe I was that big. Even my wife was like, fuck. And she goes, love is truly blind. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Dude, I'm serious. But it's crazy because I guess, I don't know, man. You do become blind to it. I look at those pictures. I look at pictures of us, bro, when we were, we went to Patrick Bet-David's, right? We went to Texas and all that stuff. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I never felt big. I mean, I would do shit differently, like wear black. If you notice, I would always wear black. I would, kind of forcibly stretch my shirt so it could somewhat fit. But I never felt it. And now you see it and you're like, holy, dude. I mean, I got clothes right now. I got to go donate all this clothes. I have absolutely no clothes. No clothes. All my shit is XXL or XL. Like none of my shit fits. I got no suits, no nothing. All my gis, they're A3s and A4s. Like I literally have to go buy all new gis. I have no gis whatsoever. Like it's just crazy, but it feels amazing, bro. I feel insane. And, not only that, like you're able to get up with energy. I get up without an alarm. Go to sleep. I'm averaging 7 to 8 hours of sleep. My cardio is insane. Before my surgery, I did the AOJ comp class. Bro, I'm going against heavy hitters. I never drank water once. I went to 2 hours just fucking rolling back to back. Even some purple belts are like, dude, what the fuck are you taking? Your gas tank is insane. So I feel better than when I was in my 20s in the Marines, bro, to be quite honest.
Let's go.
And it was all a little fucking pivot change in life, bro. That was it. And I really don't think it was the health stuff. It was here. It was here. This is what it was. Once this fucking changed, bro, everything just followed.
Right on, man.
Well, it's because of people like you, man, that guys are getting the help that they need, dude. I see your podcast. I see what you're doing, your health, the changes. We have to make ourselves the leaders, right? We need more leaders. We need people showing, and doing so that other men can follow, dude. So, dude, I'm proud of you, man. And I'm thankful that you came on this podcast with us, bro. Hopefully you can come up and roll with me and Professor Eric Medina here.
Let's connect. Let's connect afterwards. We'll make it happen.
Let's do it, man. Let's connect afterwards. Let's make it happen. Even that camp sounds freaking awesome, bro. I'd love to be a part of that in any way I can.
I'll be dope. I mean, let's set up a date. I'm all about execution, bro. So if you give me a date, I'll get together 10, 15 kids, whatever we can. I'll get lunch. You guys are where? Simi Valley?
Camarillo,
yeah. Camarillo? Yeah, dude. Let's do that. I got a couple. Eric, you might probably know him. I'm going to shoot some names to you. I got some people reach out to me through a lot of this, just helping kids out. Some of them are D1 wrestlers. I don't know who they are. You might know. If they're worth me taking them up there, let me know, man. We'll have them go up there too, and they'll probably do a free seminar. And, you do the jiu-jitsu side. I'll find food and let's make it a fun trip, man. At the end of the day, I think it's all about just helping these kids, man. And if we have the ability to give back, let's do it. Except, let's not get Colt involved. He wanted me to go out there today, and he's like, I'm going to teach you my knee bars. I'm like, dude, I just fucking had knee surgery.
I know, bro. I just want to roll with you
somebody.
I know. I'll be gentle. Anyways, guys, freaking awesome podcast. It's 45 on the hour, so we're going to end up cutting out, but guys, as always, get up, get after it, and get some.